investors, and welcome guests. I popped into the world the third of 4 children in a middle-class family in Lakewood, Ohio. I attended the Lakewood school systems, and art was my favorite subject. When I was in high school, I had an excellent art teacher. His name was Mr. Winkle. One day, at the beginning of the semester, he walked in and he said, "Class, we're going to do a portrait every single day this semester." We all balked. And I thought, why would I want to do a portrait every day? I don't even like doing portraits, and I'm not good at it. But an interesting thing unfolded. As the semester moved along, my portraits actually began to look like the person I was trying to capture. So that taught me a valuable thing, and that was, if I keep practicing in something, whether I'm good at it or not good at it, I will improve. After high school, when I graduated, the class motto was, "Every journey begins with one step." I've often been inspired by that quote because it's such a true statement. We can have many steps in front of us, but I can only take the one right in front of me. There's a lot of talk these days of living in the moment or being in the now. Well, I learned that long ago. After high school, I got a job downtown as a secretary. I had to take 2 buses and a rapid to work. And being an Aries, that didn't sit very well for me because I needed something to fill that time. So after the second day of work, I came home and looked at my father's bookshelf to see if there were any books that I might be interested in. One of the books I found was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this book. That began my journey as a readaholic. I would read a book. As soon as I read it, if I liked that book, I would find all the other books by that author. And then I would look in the reference in the back and check off any books that had interest to me, and off to the library I would go. And to this day, I usually have 3 or 4 books around the house, ready and available to pick up at any time. After a number of years working, I got married, and then fairly quickly began to start a family. I was very fortunate. I was blessed with a daughter and a son. I often say, one of each kind, one for each hand. I was kept very busy with taking care of them and being involved in their many activities. I was a soccer coach. I was involved in Parent-Teacher Association. I was a Brownie leader, a Girl Scout leader, and even helped take my daughter's group to Europe on a trip for their last project. Along with that, after the kids were in school for a number of years, I began to teach ice skating at a local ice rink near my home, and eventually became the director of that program. Along with that, I began to study metaphysics, and metaphysics is the study of all things that are seen and unseen. I attended a small school on the east side of Cleveland, and eventually my husband and I began to teach classes there, as well as a variety of venues in the Cleveland area. Then I found The Course of Miracles, which is a spiritually based book, and I started to take classes at the foundation of The Course of Miracles, and eventually, about 18 years ago, began to teach classes in The Course of Miracles, which is where one of my major passions lies. At one point in time, one of my students passed away, and as I was at the funeral service, one of my other students leaned over about 4 people in the pew and said, "Mary Ann, when I die, I want you to do my funeral service." Whoa. I never thought in that direction, but apparently the next step on my journey was leading me in a different direction. So I became a non-denominational minister, and I perform weddings and funerals and do some spiritual counseling. Along with that, I have many different things I like to do. I love to travel. I've had the opportunity to travel out west to England, Europe, and to India, just to name a few. And if the ticket arrives, I'm ready to go. I also love doing crafts and creative things, and I volunteer for Special Olympics, teaching, coaching, and chaperoning special needs people to learn to skate. And about 4 years ago, I came to Toastmasters, as most of you know. This I have found to be an invaluable experience. I've learned a great deal. I've grown in ways I never dreamed possible. And I find it to be an extremely creative outlet, which I thoroughly enjoy. At this point in time, I'm wondering what the next step of my journey will be, how it will unfold, and what it will look like.